purse, Cathy's, and pints to Pete's. Spend an extra ducat for an ocean view. Turn a blind eye to the bluish butter, and
Excuse me, Mr. Sleepyhead, this is your wake-up call.
Everyone stand and deliver. It's time to talk Tull to me.
welcome back to the podcast. I am Omen Thomas Sade.
And I am barely holding on without a voice, Nick McGill.
We are Feckless Momes.
And this, my ducats, is Talk Tull to Me.
A surprisingly clean rest area adjacent to the Prog Rock overpass, in which Netrate Nick and Double Occupancy Omen will invite up to our rooms each and every transient track that repeat business rock band Jethro Tull have ever marked on the manifest. We will abuse the minibar with Michael Downs, get jet-lag janked with Jacko Jaksic, and find a jump seat lover in Carl Glover. And if we can pound a peak season pint, connive our way into the king room, and avoid the Clover to Dover layover, we might just ring the bell of the concierge of the Claghorn, the receptionist of the Rollantondo, the front desk flautist, the room service ruminant, the bellhop who never stops, Ian, it's not an act of God until I do it, Anderson.
I like connive as a verb. You never hear that, right? It's usually like, it's an adjective, usually.
No one ever uses connive as a verb anymore.
No one actively connives, I think, is the problem.
Except for me.
You do, yeah.
Dying breed. Nick, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Okay, so this is the voice that I can talk with, that you can actually understand me. When I talk in my normal register, this is what it sounds like. All day it's been like this. Yeah. Raven's been laughing at me. Yeah.
So Nick is recovering from a little cold,
Yeah.
little head cold.
Yeah.
And so we're just going to do our best like we do every day.
Yeah. And oddly enough, Jupson, on the same day, one of the days this past week, I called out of work because I felt like I got hit by a train. And it was Tuesday because we were due to record then. So on that same day, Jupson called out of his work for the exact same thing.
Well,
so we must have gotten something at the Martin Barr show. Is all I can think of.
That's why I never kissed bassists.
He has very strong fingers, and I was hoping to experience them. I didn't. I didn't, but
because he was tied up. Well, anyway, I appreciate you being here and working through it. Nor rain, nor sleet, nor heat of sun will prevent us from talking Tull.
That's right.
I would ask you, but today I will just tell you that the track about which we are talking today is Chapter 6, The Turnpike Inn.
That's right.
Off of the wonderful album, whatever this is.
Homo Eroticus.
Yes, off of the wonderful album, Homo Eroticus.
And this is 6. This is 6 of 15. So we're very nearly halfway through here at this point.
We're creeping up on the midway point.
Yeah.
Well, without further ado, let's stop off for a little rest and have a listen to The Turnpike Inn.
Mm-mm.
Nick McGill, that was The Turnpike Inn. You mentioned how much you like this track. What is it that you like about it?
My goodness, there's a lot to like in this track.
There's a lot to like.
Only 3 minutes worth of track, but there's a lot going on in here. I think I'm gonna come out and say it right from the get-go.
Yeah, I was hoping
I'm gonna be brave. I'm gonna take a stand here.
Please do. Yeah, you should. You deserve that.
I think this is the most Jethro Tull song we've heard on this album thus far.
Whew, that is not what I was expecting you to say. I don't know.
The child is yours, Omen. The test came back.
Out the window I go. That's really interesting. I'm curious to break that down a little bit, but I don't necessarily have a strong rebuttal to that. It didn't occur to me that this is the most Jethro Tull track off this Jethro Tull album, but I did in the first couple of seconds. I was like, "Ooh, this is bad boy rock."
Yeah, there's something so very different about this sound, and we're only 6 tracks. Yeah, we're only 6 tracks in. And we've had quite a range of sounds so far, I think.
Right.
But this one's like pretty ripping.
On the album, this is fairly unique in the sense that it starts with a sound of overdrive. We have a chord played by Florian on the guitar, and it is overcharged, right? It's on overdrive, so you get that wow.
It's like feedback. There's like a little feedback there.
It sounds like the start of a Weezer song.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
from Pinkerton.
Yeah, but there's also Ian like trying to make flute feedback as well.
You're so right. There's also flute overdrive.
Yeah.
So the way that he's achieving that, which I think is so fascinating, is that he is, when you play the flute, you blow across the hole, and depending on your embouchure and the angle and whatever, you get a pure tone.
Right.
And flautists are trained to get that pure tone.
Yeah.
What he's doing is he's finding that right angle and then probably twisting the flute a little bit away from him so that the air is going across at an angle where some of the air is going into the flute and creating that tone and some of it is shooting off, but it's creating that kind of harmonic.
Yeah, so you can hear the air that's being lost in that process. Yes. Yeah. And also in turn the strength of the note itself is weakened.
Yes, but you also get not instead of just one tone, you sort of get a couple of tones at once.
Oh, sure. Yeah, right.
It's really cool. I don't think it's the first time he's ever used that technique, but it certainly is. It's a new sound, like you said, for this album, and it's very exciting. As soon as you hear it, you're like, oh, okay, what do we got?
Yeah, it's pretty prominent, and you got to be an expert to do it, I imagine, to really be able to manipulate it.
Either have to be an expert or just starting.
Or really shitty, yeah.
Yes.
But it's that classic, you got to be good before you can be bad.
Yeah.
Before you can be bad well. You have to be a really good singer to pretend to sing poorly.
Yes, absolutely. And then we have the crunchiest guitar that we have ever heard Florian play, as far as I can tell.
It's pretty granola, yeah.
I feel like his speaker was left out in the rain for several days. It maybe was kicked down a flight of stairs. It maybe was moved into by a family of shrews.
They filled it with gravel.
Filled it with gravel. I love it, though. I love this sound.
Yeah.
It's a new tone. It's a new palette of color for Florian, and it works perfectly with this.
It's a badass sound for a badass song.
Yes.
Yeah. Feedback into guitar. When the guitar breaks out, we also get instantly squeeze box.
Big squeeze box action.
And some cowbell. How long's it been since we've heard cowbell?
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
That's so funny. I didn't even clock that, but you're totally right.
Oh my God, it's wicked prominent.
I heard there was like a lot of percussion coming through. There's a lot of bass coming through. It's very hard. It's sort of like, oh, what if we were a rock and roll band?
Yeah. It almost feels like they were about to mutiny and Ian had to grant them one rock and roll song. Say, all right, I'll give it to you, but we have to pull in like the show tune opera singer to sing half of the lyrics.
Right.
Like, fine, whatever.
Yeah, the squeeze box is really fun.
Love it.
John O'Hara brings a lot of his flair. It's the kind of sound from our era of being young and listening to Tull. So for me, it's a very nostalgic sound. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't really let up that much. It kind of is pretty continuous throughout the whole track.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty forceful, really adds some flavor. Likewise with the cowbell. And like you said with the bass, though, it's pretty underneath, but when you can pull it out, he's really kind of going all over the place. He's not doing your standard 1-2-1-2.
No, it's a lively song.
Yeah, he's traveling up and down. It's pretty cool to hear.
A word in here, free marketeer, suggest you ponders and takes your choice.
We have, you mentioned the operatic singer. We have Ryan O'Donnell coming in for quite a lot of this song.
Yeah, a couple of pickups.
Yeah, it's there are 1, 2, 3, at least 4 places that he takes a couplet, basically, or a couple of lines in the verse, and then I'm pretty sure that he's also backing Ian up on "Drown Sorrows at the Turnpike Inn." Drown your sorrows at the Turnpike Inn.
Right, that really powerful punch, almost like Satan pointing down at you, kind of like really this whole piece is so theatrical.
Satan pointing down at you, my God, which level of hell are you in?
I just imagine him being really big. That's all.
Oh, I get it. Oh, Omen and Nick are here. We have to create a new sub-basement.
Get a new level. It's not ready yet. I don't care.
I don't care. Put him in. I love Ryan O'Donnell's voice in this song. Mm-hmm. He has such a different quality of singing, not just because he has a different voice, but he also has a different way of pronouncing things.
So do you, Omen.
Ian has arrived at this kind of neutral
RP
anti. Yeah, sort of an anti. I wouldn't actually call it RP. I think it's almost mid-Atlantic when he sings.
Oh, sure, yeah.
It's very neutral, but very folky and very that kind of nasal chamber resonance.
Yes, very nasal, yeah.
Whereas Ryan O'Donnell has a very English-sounding voice.
Mm-hmm. It's very clear. There's clarion. It's like it's coming from the back of the throat as opposed to the nose.
And he doesn't sound like a modern rocker. I mean, that would almost sound, if you had somebody who's the singer of Scorpions.
I don't know. Hell if I know.
Klaus Meine.
I would not have known that. Are you fucking kidding me?
Klaus.
You know Klaus. You guys go way back.
But he has that amazing, like, crazy glam rock voice where he's like,
the hairband, yeah. Yeah.
That wouldn't fit in a Tull.
No.
But this kind of like weirdly operatic, like you said, folk English voice is perfect for it.
Yeah, it really works. It really works.
Really works
in this. And I think I'm going to keep going back to this idea of it being so theatrical.
Yes.
It feels like I can see, of all the songs so far, I can feel this being on stage.
Yeah.
It really can.
Absolutely. And someday we will produce that musical.
Yes, that's right. Every single Tull song in a musical.
Oh my God.
And it's not an opera either, so like there's got to be talking and scene building and characters.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. No? I think that's a lot. I think we just use some of the track. We just use some of the lyrics as recitative.
Okay, perfect.
But it'll still be 18 hours long.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
At about 2:05, we have a musical breakdown.
Yes, that bridge is awesome.
It's really fun. We have more of that flute overdrive.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, it gives me the image of like a pot boiling over or a steam engine that isn't discharging properly. And it's just that strain coming out of it.
Yeah, definitely. We get some good organ in there as well. That the organ comes in really strong there.
Oh, yeah. So I guess that's about the point where we switch out of the accordion.
Yeah, it might go back once we leave the bridge.
Yes, I think it does.
Yeah, but he steps into that grand sweeping Hammond sound for that part. And it's really nice because it kind of gives you a solid foundation to buffet along on because everything else is really raucous in there.
To Jimmy Buffett along.
Jimmy Buffett along. The Margaritaville in Destiny USA closed, Omen. I just want you to know that.
That makes me so sad.
My regular hangout. Where am I going to go? Overall, particularly like when it gets started and we're starting to like really ramp up and get momentum in this song, I get a lot of Mulberry Drive or Mulberry Crescent or whatever it is from tab 2. Mulberry.
22 Mulberry Walk, Confessional.
That's the one, yeah. It feels very Mulberry to me, just in terms of the drive, the kind of almost an anger there, the power behind the voice.
I think actually, do you mean Confessional or do you mean Kismet in Suburbia?
Oh, is that the one where he lists all the different mulberries?
Yes.
That's the one I'm talking about.
I seek forgiveness, I beg your pardon, at number 9, Mulberry Gardens.
Yes, that's the one, Kismet, yeah.
I seek forgiveness, I beg your pardon, at number 9, Mulberry Gardens.
I think it's because they have a similar type of ending on the verses. The Turnpike Inn,
Yes, that's it.
Mulberry Garden. I'm probably forgetting the exact notes, but it has that kind of
Yeah, I think you're right. That kind of forceful end, yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's what it is.
And using a place name.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Mulberry Gardens.
Mulberry Inn, Turnpike Gardens. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Omen. I'm going to ask a very important question to you.
I am ready for that question.
Time signature.
I was not ready. I think it's in 4/4 unless I'm greatly mistaken. But
No, it is. But I think I could be very wrong. But I think leading into the bridge, they drop in a couple of 2/4s at certain points. Like right when the bridge hits, we get 4 4/4s, and then a 2, and then it breaks down even more.
Let me have a listen.
Please do. And then it happens again, but I couldn't figure out how many 4s were after that before it happened again.
I was about to say it is as square as a wombat's poop, but just as I was about to say that, there is a little extra something in there. It's right when we transition out of the organ back into the accordion. There is a little extra half measure or three beats in there. You are well done, Nick. I'm very impressed.
I tried very hard this time around. I went back and re-listened and counted so much. Thank God I can count to 8. That's all.
Yeah. No, that's really cool, and it as it always does, that gives us that little something. Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you caught the 3. There's like a 6/4 at some point, but I think before that was the 2/4. I'll drop them both in if I can find them, and prove myself right for once.
And prove myself at 180 degrees
for a half hour. I'll be so risen. Just like Jesus.
He is risen. Okay, punch him down, fold him, and let him rise again. We have a little bit of military snare at some point in that
I missed
breakdown.
That. Okay.
It's pretty brief. It just kind of enters in there for a moment. And then the only other thing that I wanted to note is that we have some fun echoes on the Turnpike Inn.
Drown sorrows of the Turnpike Inn. Drown your sorrows of the Turnpike Inn.
Yeah, those really powerful hits.
Yes. And every time that we have Turnpike Inn, all the instruments underline that with bam, bam, bam.
Yeah. They really nail that home.
They nail it.
Yeah, I think just the overall, the rockingness, how fluty this is. I feel like we haven't had like a really flute-heavy song in a long time.
Very fluty.
I think that's really what is leading me to call this more Tull than what we've heard recently.
So far, the Turnpike Inn, Chapter 6, and Puer Fair Rocks Adventus are my 2 favorites.
Wow, Omen.
I threw in the litigical just for you. The Vulgate?
The vulgar. The vulgar.
The Vulgate. Yeah, I really like this track. It's super fun. It's very bad boy, and we'll talk more about why that might be the case. Nick, welcome to the half.
Thanks for having me.
Your health bar is at like 2.5 hearts.
Do you not hear the beepings? The beep, beep.
Yeah, you are no longer able to shoot fire out of your sword. You haven't been able to do that all episode.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's, this never happens to me, I swear.
What do we have here for the half?
Just a tiny little bit from Anglo correspondent Vicar John.
Vicar John!
Vicar John writes in about the episode that just dropped a few days ago, Chapter 3, Enter the Uninvited.
Oh, sorry, Nick, that's Enter the Uninvited.
Uninvited. The uninvited.
Enter the uninvited.
That could be taken so many different ways. Turning the V to a W. Enter the uninvited. Particularly the lyric, Alfie, great in spirit battle on Somerset levels, left cakes a-burning.
Alfie, great in spirit battle on Somerset levels, left cakes a-burning.
I think we kind of glazed over the cakes a-burning part. We talked about Alfred the Great. But Vicar John writes in the Discord and says, the story of Alfred the Great burning the cakes was a staple of children's English history books.
Ah,
yeah.
Okay. It was sort of their equivalent to the first Thanksgiving.
Oh, maybe, yeah. So he provides a link here. And the story of King Alfred burning the cakes is well known. The event is said to have taken place in the marshes of the Somerset levels near Athelney.
Huh.
And it is one of the best known stories in English history, apparently, is that King Alfred and the cakes.
Okay.
Children are taught the story where Alfred is on the run from the Vikings, taking refuge in the home of a peasant woman. She asks him to watch her cakes, or small loaves of bread, baking by the fire, but distracted by his problems, he lets the cakes burn and is roundly scolded by the woman.
Wow.
Yeah. So let's see. Is there a moral to the story here?
Don't burn the cakes.
Don't burn the cakes. Do what people ask of you.
I mean, he probably had never baked a cake in his life. Didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah. I would assume so. I'd be very, very surprised if he had. And if he had and then burned them, like more shame for you.
That's a very funny story. I mean, I can see why that appeals as a story because there's the beautiful switch of a status. You know, you have the king.
Yes, right.
Who's like, oh my God, you have to save me. And she's like, well, yeah, fine, but you have to watch these cakes.
But you have to watch these cakes.
Oh, you can't do anything right. Oh.
Right.
I'm sorry.
There's also, I don't know how ingrained it is in English folklore and society, but the idea of xenia, of being a guest and being a host, the importance of that.
Oh, I think probably quite deeply, at least, especially at that time.
Yeah, and even the king is a guest. Even Zeus is a guest, and you treat him right. But also, like, there comes a certain responsibility being a guest and then being a host.
Absolutely.
And the idea there is, I don't know, like, he doesn't do his role, so he gets scolded for it. He does not fulfill his end of the bargain for being protected. Yeah.
That even the king has to be part of that deal. That's really funny. Well, thank you, Vicar John, for letting us know about that. That was something that I think like you said, Nick, we glazed over with a beautiful orange drip.
I generally don't like citrus in my baked goods, but for you, Vicar John, I'll accept it. It'll be good. A nice orange scone.
I had the orange drip a couple of weeks ago, but I got some medicine for it.
Penicillin will clear that right up.
Nick McGill.
Moment Thomas Sade.
Why don't you take a load off here in the second act of the episode? Sit down, have a nice pint. It's priced for the area. And let's talk about The Turnpike Inn.
What does that mean? That it's just like reasonably priced?
It's the cheapest pint within 100 miles.
Oh, okay.
It's expensive, but you can't get a cheaper one anywhere.
That's what they say at Disney, isn't it? For literally everything at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Wait, is it Disney World there or Land?
It's Disney World, but you're absolutely right. I bought, when I went with our Norwegian friends, we went to Disney for a day, and I bought the first round of drinks. And my friend Bendik bought the second round. And we ordered the same, kind of drinks that we had before. And they said, okay, and that'll be $57. And he was like, oh.
For how many drinks? 4?
4. Yeah. $16 for a drink.
Yeah. Jesus.
Cheapest on property.
That's as bad as like when you go to a concert and you buy...
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, just a plastic cup of piss.
Ooh.
It's artisan piss, though.
Ew.
It's a hipster drinks artisan beer and then pisses into a solo cup. That's what you get.
Well, before we talk any more about that...
Please.
Before Nick's sickness derails us even further, let's talk about what is the idea of a Turnpike Inn, or perhaps a turnpike itself.
So I think we touched on this idea. No, in fact, nay, I say we did touch on this idea during Change of Horses from tab 2.
Yes, we would have done.
And in fact, they reference it. Ian uses that line of Change Your Horses later in this song itself.
Yes. The etymology of turnpike comes from the idea that this would be a road that was charged. You had to you were charged a fee if you wanted to travel on it.
Okay.
And so that is the definition of a turnpike. It's a road, usually a long, road that is highly used, but it is a road where you have to pay a fee. And it may have been privately owned, or it may have been, owned by the king, but there were taxes involved. So the pike refers to a barrier, usually a long pointed pole or several poles that blocked your way. And you couldn't go through until you paid the toll, and they would turn the pikes up and let you pass.
Wow. How cool.
So a Turnpike Inn is a place that you have to pay for services after you have already paid to travel on the road to get there.
Yeah, that's funny. So it's the Shake Shack on the New York State Thruway.
Yeah, but with more character.
Yeah, it's a rustic rest stop.
Go no farther. Access denied down byways, freeways of the past. The superhighway toll house humbly begs you pause, so just hold fast.
Go no farther, access denied, down byways, freeways of the past. The superhighway toll house humbly begs your pause, so just hold fast.
Already here we have the concept of you have to pay to get on this road. It kind of indicates to me that this road used to be free, but now we have this marvelous system of fee charging, which definitely benefits everyone and is just the price of progress.
Yeah, right.
The superhighway toll house humbly begs you pause. So I kind of feel like there's an implication here that the place that you pay the toll is also the inn where you're staying, but that doesn't quite make sense to me. And maybe I'm misreading that.
I'm not sure this is an actual physical setup of a turnpike. I think this is a brigand holding you up, charging you just like a turnpike would.
I don't know. I think that we have that a little later, but because we have the line later on, the palest ale, the stoutest porter, fortify the heart, the breast, a weary head on eider pillow.
Oh yeah, no, the inn is there. The inn is there, but the turnpike of the actual, like, the official spot where people have to stop and pay.
Well, and what's the difference?
Well, yeah.
Whether you're paying a brigand who is doing it lawlessly, or whether you're paying the government who's set up these tolls, what's the difference? You're still shelling out a lot of money.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but I think our next line, a word in ear, free marketeer, suggests you ponders and takes your choice.
A word in ear, free marketeer, suggests you ponders and takes your choice.
So So the free marketeer part makes me think it's like, I'm just a businessman.
Well, and that works either way, you know.
Sure.
The idea, I think either way, there's this idea of exclusivity of service.
Mm-hmm.
That if you're going to go on this road, there is only one place to stop. And they've made sure that it's far enough away that you pretty much have to stop there if you want any kind of food or any kind of rest. So, you know, these days when something is very expensive, unnecessarily expensive, and there are no other options, we say that's highway robbery.
Highway robbery, yeah.
And I think it does come from this concept, whether it's the highwayman or whether it's the rest stop, they're both fleecing you.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And maybe they work together.
I mean, they might get a cut, yeah. They rob you and then they run back and then cook your meal behind the bar.
Aren't you? No.
You look familiar.
I have a mustache.
I have a cousin in the area. That's probably what you saw.
It's like that early Charlie Chaplin film, The Kid, where he has this kid who runs around and throws rocks through windows.
Yeah.
And the owner shows up, "Oh, you damn kid, get out!" And then Charlie Chaplin walks around the corner as a glass fixer, and he's like, "Oh, you have a broken window here? Well, I can fix that up."
Classic con move. Absolutely. Yeah.
So yes, I like what you were saying. The idea that a free marketeer could be somebody suggesting that at the point of a gun, but also could be somebody saying like, "Hey, why didn't you stop in for a nice glass of wine here?"
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah.
For rite of passage, freight or message, change your horses, raise your voice. In protest, at the pretty penny taken for your mortal sins.
For right to passage, freight or message, change your horses, raise your voice. In protest at the pretty penny taken for your mortal sins.
So the idea that there might be any number of reasons why you're using the road. It might be because you are a mercantile person sending their goods. You might be
It's called a merchant.
Oh, a merchant. They have a word for that. That's
yeah,
nice.
they do.
Might be, just trying to get an important letter to somewhere. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, right.
Everyone's equal in the eyes of the Turnpike.
That's right. Yeah, everybody has to pay. I don't care what you're doing. Doesn't matter.
And I love the line break, where it's like, "Oh, stop in, raise your voices." Usually we think, "Oh, raise your voices in song, in praise, in boisterousness." But it's actually raise your voices to yell at how mad you are about the prices of things.
Yeah. And it's the owner or the brigand or whatever telling this to you. So they're like, you're going to bitch, but you got to pay. Like, I know it. You know
Totally.
Everybody, the last 4 years, everybody has bitched, but you know what? They pay because it's pouring dogs out right now.
Right. You get your pint and they're like, it's $13. You're like, $13? And everyone else in the bar is like, "Yeah, we paid it too. Oh, isn't it awful? Well, whatever, let's get drunk."
Yeah, just shut up and drink.
And then the next line, "But dally now in sweet surrender, drown sorrows at the Turnpike Inn."
Exactly.
Dally now in sweet surrender, drown sorrow at the Turnpike Inn.
It's the only game in town. You're going to be pissed about how expensive it is. But after that, there's nothing to do but just enjoy it.
Right. So continue to drink our watered down beer at overpriced prices. Get yourself pissed, and I make out like a bandit.
Yeah, or as a bandit.
As a bandit.
Or with a bandit. So now we get into the obviously bandity part.
Yeah.
"Beware the brigand, pistols drawn, who offers life for modest fee."
Beware the brigand, pistol drawn, who offers life for modest fee.
All right, how is it that he's offering life for a modest fee?
Saying, you give me your money and I will give you your life.
Your money or your life?
If I don't get paid that, you will lose your life.
Right. I'm going to take your money either way.
You don't have to die.
But you don't have to die.
But you do have to give me your money.
The Highwayman is such a widely played upon figure.
Yeah.
And I think it is largely in the English consciousness, But there may be other. I'm curious if there are other cultures that have similar figures.
Yeah. Robin Hood is a highwayman.
Of its kind, yes.
So is Han Solo, the rogue.
Absolutely. And, probably most highwaymen were just nasty bandits.
Oh, yeah, right. But we've kind of romanticized it.
Yes.
Particularly like in media.
Well, and partially due to the Highwayman by Alfred Noyes. Year? Question mark? Oh.
Angry?
Okay, so this is interesting. There's this poem, The Highwayman by Alfred Noyes, that I was exposed to because Lorena McKennitt has about a 17-minute version of it.
Yes.
Where she literally just sings the entire poem. Slowly. I thought it was written quite a while ago, but it was only written in 1906.
Oh, wow.
The year that Jethro Tull was founded.
Yeah. The year we started this podcast.
Yeah. But the way that Alfred Noyes describes the highwayman: he'd a French cocked hat on his forehead, a bunch of lace at his chin, a coat of the claret velvet, breeches of brown doe skin. They fitted with never a wrinkle, his boots were up to the thigh, and he rode with a jeweled twinkle, his pistol butts a twinkle, his rapier hilt a twinkle, under the jeweled sky.
Did he rhyme twinkle with twinkle?
3 times.
Oh, that's awful. That's terrible.
Well, there's a lot of...
It's a poetic license, yeah.
He has a lot of repetition.
Yeah.
And the highwayman is kind of this, like you said, this romantic, heroic, tragic figure.
That's what a tragic finger that is.
And and then there's also an inn, and in this case, the inn and he's courting the innkeeper's daughter, and it's sort of like all good, and he's this dashing, very rich fellow, but then King George's men get involved, and they end up killing him, and
sounds
it's all
right.
very, very, very sad. But it's fascinating to me that we have this romantic idea of the highwayman.
To stick with media for a second, in 1985, there was the formation of a country supergroup.
Yes.
With Johnny Cash,
yes,
Waylon Jennings, Chris
yes,
Christopherson, and Willie Nelson, called the Highwaymen. And they have a song called Highwayman, which is phenomenal. And my favorite band, Murder by Death, who they're doing their farewell tour this year, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm going to see them in somewhere up that way, Poughkeepsie area. But they did a cover of the Highwayman's version of Highwayman, and it's phenomenal. It's so good. I cannot recommend it enough. So good.
That song starts, I was a highwayman, along the coach roads I did ride, with sword and pistol by my side. Many a young maid lost her baubles to my trade. Many a soldier shed his lifeblood on my blade. The bastards hung me in the spring of '45, but I am still alive.
I was a highwayman, along the coach roads I did ride, with sword and pistol by my side. Many a young maid lost her baubles to my trade. Many a soldier shed his lifeblood on my blade. The bastards hung me in the spring of '25, but I am still alive.
And then he becomes reincarnated in all these different forms, and he ends as being a starship pilot.
Yeah, he dies in building a dam. Like he falls into wet cement in a dam. What a great song.
He's a sailor.
Yep.
Yeah. So amazing. It's shocking to me that Ian hasn't played with the idea of a highwayman until this album.
I mean, do we kind of see that with Velvet Green almost? Well, he's not really a highwayman. He's kind of a
no.
He's a tailhound. Yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right.
A tailhound.
Yeah. I was going to say something much more offensive, but decided not to.
So Getting back to the lyrics.
Yes.
Beware the brigand pistols drawn who offers life for modest fee and ends his days like poor John Austin, last man on the Tyburn tree.
And ends his days like poor John Austin, last man on the Tyburn tree.
Tyburn tree has a fascinating history.
It sure does.
Guess who John Austin was? He was the last person to be hanged at the Tyburn gallows, which was just outside of London, which that gallows was in operation for 600 years.
It's a long time.
The thing that I find fascinating is that people would typically be tried in London or kept at Newgate Prison, which is in London. And then they would take this 2.5-mile journey up along the Tyburn Road, 2 or 3 hours. And the whoever was being hanged would be in an open cart, shackled, so that people could watch.
Yeah, and throw shit at them. Yeah,
potentially, or mourn,
lament their loss.
And it would typically stop on the way at St. Sepulchre without Newgate, at one of 2 public houses where drinks would be served.
I bet you those pubs were very thrilled about that. Probably their best business day.
I think that's amazing. I mean, what a cool, how English. Off to be hanged, stop for a quick pint.
Stop for some warm beer. Yeah, and it was such a cultural touchstone that in Shakespeare's Love's Labour's Lost, it is mentioned.
Really?
Thou makest the triumvirate, the corner cap of society, the shape of love's Tyburn that hangs up simplicity.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they could hang up to 24 people at a time. It was massive.
Wow.
It was insane. Yeah.
Okay, so that was John Austin. And then we go to the palest ale, the stoutest porter, fortify the heart, the breast, a weary head on eider pillow, horse blanket over, down to rest.
The palest ale, the stoutest porter, fortify the heart, the breast, a weary head on either pillow, horse blanket over, down to rest.
So this contrast of the brigand versus, the beer is actually not too bad, and the an eider is a very rare,
a duck down, right?
Yeah, but it has to be collected in Iceland. It's an extremely rare.
Oh yeah, right.
So this is implying it's really nice accommodations.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like you have to get through this really shitty part. Everybody knows it. Everybody acknowledges it. You sign up for it when you know you're going on that road. But at least there's a really comfy pillow.
Right? Horse blanket over, down to rest. Or is it, I don't know if we'll stop here for the night. Well, there's a highwayman in this area, and he always is active in the...
Oh,
he's always active at night. You can go. You can go. But listen.
That's really good. Yeah.
Don't say we didn't warn you. And by the way, we have really good beer.
And he always gives us a cut.
Yeah. It is really fascinating, the kind of the people who gain the tolls, the people who rob the people who provide services, the people.
Yeah.
Are they all basically the same thing?
Yeah. There's a mastermind, an evil mastermind meeting of we're all doing the same thing. Why don't we just work together?
Right. Well, and I love this line, though we too steal from honest wage, come lie with us, good kith and kin.
Though we too steal from honest wage, come lie with us, good kith and kin.
You're going to get robbed one way or another. You may as well be comfortable.
Right, you might as well have beer with it.
Because sometimes John Austin gets crazy and... bash you upside the head.
He gets the red rage and you don't want that.
We promise we won't hit you. Interesting little detail here. Come lie with us, good kith and kin. I don't know how prominent this would have been in all of English history, but if you look at, so this is something that if you are familiar with the Decameron, which is from probably, what's our year on this PTSD? What's our year on this BT dubs?
PTSD. Well, my PTSD starts about 20 years ago. The timestamp.
Yeah.
That is, Turnpike Inn is 1750.
Okay. That's right around where I thought it was. This may not have been the case at this point, but certainly in the Middle Ages, and you can see this documented in Boccaccio and probably in the Canterbury Tales, it was pretty typical when you stopped at an inn that there was only one bed.
Oh, wow.
And so you would sleep in the bed with the innkeeper and the wife and the children.
So it was like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, like
Yes.
all the grandparents like staggered.
And there's a wonderful story in Boccaccio about, some traveler who's like stops at an inn and they're like, oh, well, you can sleep in the bed with our daughter. And he's like, oh, I don't know about that. And they're like, well, okay, you can sleep in the bed with the wife. But then he wants, but then the daughter gets up and, does some things to make sure that she's in the bed with the guy and then has to trick her way out of it. I mean, it's just all a bunch of nonsense, but that was a very common thing. And also travelers sharing beds together. There's a great scene in Herman Melville's Moby Dick where Ishmael and Queequeg share a bed together on the way to the inn.
Oh, wow.
At the inn on the way to the ship. Maybe it's in the film, but it's a nice moment where it's like the kind of panic of getting into bed with this terribly violent stranger.
Just so we're clear, the Decameron is a super old, like 14th century collection of short stories by Giovanni Boccaccio, and they're really kind of racy.
They're quite saucy.
They're naughty, but like really dumb, silly, like almost Three Stooges naughty at times. It feels
Some
like,
of them
like National Lampoons, like all those really shitty like college movies. Yeah, very funny, very stupid.
Yeah, it was dedicated to the ladies that he wanted, the ladies who were hiding from the plague, whom he felt it was his duty to entertain.
What a martyr! What a champ!
What a martyr! And then we are rounded out by a couple of cycles of Drown Sorrows at the Turnpike Inn, Drown Your Sorrows at the Turnpike Inn, Drown Sorrows at the Turnpike Inn.
Yeah.
We too steal from honest wage, come lie with us, good kith and kin, and dally now in sweet surrender, Drown Sorrows at the Turnpike Inn. Repeat, repeat, repeat. This reminds me of being at the airport.
Yeah, right.
Where it's like, oh, you want dinner? That will be 3 times as expensive as what it should actually cost.
Yeah. You can have a decent meal here for a lot of money.
Right.
Or you can have a really shitty meal up in the air for probably close to the same amount of money. So what do you want to do?
Yeah.
It's your choice. Or you could just not eat for a 12-hour flight.
Or you could not eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why not enjoy it? That's why I shell out and I shell in. It's a shell game.
There's a regular tradition between the Momes, and it's a bit one-sided, really, but
that's us.
That's we are the Momes, where Omen will send me a picture of a beer at the airport bar every time he's waiting for his flight.
Yes,
I have so many pictures of lagers and amber ales and IPAs just on an airport bar, random airport bar.
It's my little tradition with myself. I try to get to the bar at the airport a little early. And because because I find traveling very stressful, packing, getting there, going through security, getting racially profiled. Will the flight? It's always a will she, won't she arrive and take off with the airplanes these days.
Yeah, right.
And so I find that just giving myself that space to have a pint at the bar, crack a joke with my fellow travelers, and then I'm nice and relaxed when I get on the plane.
Meaning toasted.
Meaning pour me into my aisle seat. Wake me up when the plane lands. I was talking to a friend of mine who was saying, who was like, oh, I hate traveling. And I was like, oh, do you have anxiety about flying? She was like, no, not after 3 glasses of wine.
I hate drinking 3 glasses of wine.
That works. But Nick, any final thoughts about the Turnpike Inn? The Turnpike Inn.
How does this fall into our overall theme of the evolution of man and the evolution of England, the UK,
My belief is that it has to do with travel, that the invention of the turnpike, the upshot of all this was that someone was actually collecting fees for the upkeep of the road. At some point on this fleecing, some of this money actually was going to maintain the roads. And when you had well-maintained roads, and then this would have been the era of carriages, where the fastest way to travel was by carriage. And so you might have a 6-horse carriage that would just blast down the road at top speeds, stop, change the horses, blast on, stop, change the horses blast on. If you read Alexander Dumas, there's a lot of descriptions of this in The Count of Monte Cristo and in The Three Musketeers. And that's, of course, France, but similar developments were happening in England. And it meant that messages could go faster, mercantile objects could go faster. So trade, literally the economy was literally moving faster.
Yeah, right.
It was as fast as you could go before a train happened.
And I think this is also an indicator.
What's happening? It's a train! Spontaneous origination.
Spontaneous training. I think it's also an indicator of, we've seen people traveling to migrate to a place that's better for them, that will provide food for them or shelter, something like that in Doggerland. We've seen people traveling to expand an empire, but this is more like we're settled in a place. And this is a path to get from one area to the other, but we're now in kind of an established area.
Well, and 1750 is kind of setting the stage for elements of what would become the Industrial Revolution. I mean,
right, yeah.
The historical Jethro Tull was alive not too distant from this time.
And the United States was 1776. So
wow,
it's a quarter of a decade away. So it's not that far away in terms of like the grand scheme of history.
We're getting into what we can really call modern times.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We are moving on with the next track to The Engineer, which is, now that the economy is moving faster, now that ideas are being moved around with great speed, suddenly all kinds of things begin to pop off.
Yeah. And going back to trains were the first one was invented in 1804, so that's not far away either.
It's only 50 years.
Yeah.
I think the highways also strengthened the major cities. London became a powerhouse, especially because there was so much communication with other places.
Very similar to that all roads lead to Rome, almost.
Yes, exactly. London is becoming its own Rome.
Old Londinium, yeah.
Old Londinium.
And probably those roads were set up by the Romans.
We need an old Londinium and a new Londinium. Yeah, and this is probably the point in history where those roads were as close to being as good as the Roman roads.
Right, yeah, exactly.
As they ever were.
Yeah.
Since the Roman roads.
The infrastructure was there.
Speaking of roads, can I tell you something insane about the UK?
Please do.
My father-in-law told me this, that the way that they see if you're speeding in the UK is not by having a cop set in one location with a speed gun. It's by having points along the road that simply monitor when you pass by them. And if you get from point A to point B too fast, they know that your average speed was above the speed limit.
And then they can ticket you? That's brilliant.
And very annoying if you like to drive, if you're a fun driver.
If you're a lame-o like me, you'll be fine.
You can't put a limit on fun, man.
Sorry, Noggin is losing her mind. Raven just pulled in.
I can't drive 55. I also can't drive.
I won't drive until I am 55.
Around sorrows at the Turnpike Inn. Around sorrows at the Turnpike Inn.
Nick, what are we've already spilled the bean on this. What are we talking about?
My bean.
What are we talking oh no, my bean. What are we talking to tell about next week?
Next week is track number 7. We are just about done with the part 1 of Chronicles. We are on 1847. We jump forward about 100 years to The Engineer.
Yes, we will be in the space of trains, amongst other things.
In train space.
Train space. I'm taking a train to space.
That sounds like a Jules Verne idea of
Space train.
Space train, yeah. How do we get to the moon? Oh, we built train tracks to get there.
Oh, or Space Train is like a dance show, like Soul Train.
But they're in astronaut suits.
But they're an astronaut.
Oh, they're in space. They're on the space station. Yeah,
they're in zero gravity. Yeah,
I'd watch it. Yeah.
Until next week, I am the stoutest porter, Omen Thomasade.
I have submitted to sweet surrender. I am Nick McGill.
We humbly beg your pause, the feckless Momes.
And last man on the Tyburn tree is a rotten egg. This is Talk Tull to me.
The wind was a torrent of darkness among the gusty trees. The moon was a ghostly galleon tossed upon the cloudy seas. The road was a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor. And the highwayman came riding. The highwayman came riding up to the old inn door. He had a French cocked hat on his forehead, and a bunch of lace at his chin, a coat of the claret velvet, and breeches of brown doe skin. They fitted with never a winkle, his boots were up to the thigh, and he rode with a jeweled twinkle, his pistol butts a twinkle, his rapier hit a twinkle, under the jeweled sky. Over the cockbolts he clattered and clashed in the dark inn yard. He tapped with his whip on the shutters, but all was locked and barred. He whistled a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair. And dark in the dark old inn yard, a stable wicket creaked, where Tim, the ostler, listened. His face was white and peaked. His eyes were hollows of madness, his hair like mouldy hay. But he loved the landlord's daughter, the landlord's red-lipped daughter. Dumb as a dog he listened, and he heard the robber say,
"One kiss, my bonny sweetheart. I'm after a prize tonight, but I shall be back with the yellow gold before the morning light. Yet if they press me sharply and harry me through the day, then look for me by moonlight, watch for me by moonlight. I'll come to thee by moonlight, hell should bar the way."
He rose upright in the stirrups. He scarce could reach her hand, but she loosened her hair at the casement. His face burned like a brand. The black cascade of perfume came tumbling o'er his breast. He kissed its waves in the moonlight. Oh, sweet black waves in the moonlight! Then he tugged his rein in the moonlight and galloped away to the west. He did not come in the dawning, he did not come at noon, and out of the tawny sunset before the rise of the moon, when the road was a gypsy's ribbon, looping the purple moor, a red-coat troop came marching. King George's men came marching up to the old inn door. They said no word to the landlord. They drank his ale instead. But they gagged his daughter and bound her to the foot of her narrow bed. Two of them knelt at the casement, with muskets at their side. There was death at every window, and hell at one dark window, for Bess could see through the casement the road that he would ride. They had tied her up to attention with many a sniggering jest, and they had bound a musket beside her with a muzzle beneath her breast.
"Now keep good watch."
And they kissed her. She heard the doomed man say,
"Look for me by moonlight, watch for me by moonlight. I'll come to thee by moonlight, though hell should bar the way."
She twisted her hands behind her, but all the knots held good. She writhed her hands till her fingers were wet with sweat or blood. They stretched and strained in the darkness, and the hours crawled by like years, till now the stroke of midnight, cold on the stroke of midnight, The tip of one finger touched it, the trigger at least was hers. The tip of one finger touched it, she strove no more for the rest. Up she stood at attention with the muzzle beneath her breast. She would not risk their hearing, she would not strive again, for the road lay bare in the moonlight, blank and bare in the moonlight, and the blood of her veins in the moonlight throbbed to her lover's refrain. Clot, 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 had they heard it? The horse hooves ringing clear. Clot, 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 in the distance. Were they deaf that they did not hear? Down the ribbon of moonlight, over the brow of the hill, the highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The redcoats looked to their priming. She stood up, straight and still. Clot, clot, in the frosty silence. Clot, clot, in the echoing night. Nearer he came and nearer. Her face was like a light. Her eyes grew wide for a moment. She drew one last deep breath. Then her finger moved in the moonlight. The musket shattered the moonlight, shattered her breast in the moonlight, and warned him with her death. He turned, he spurred to the west. He did not know who stood, bowed with her head o'er the musket, drenched with her own blood. Not till the dawn he heard it, and his face grew grey to hear how best the landlord's daughter, the landlord's black-eyed daughter, had watched for her love in the moonlight and died in the darkness there. Back he spurred like a madman, shrieking a curse to the sky, with the white road smoking behind him, his rapier brandish high. Blood red were his spurs in the golden noon, wine red was his velvet coat. Then they shot him down on the highway, down like a dog on the highway, and he lay in his blood on the highway, with a bunch of lace at his throat. And still of a winter's night they say, when the wind is in the trees, when the moon is a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas, when the road is a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, the highwayman comes riding, riding, riding. A highwayman comes riding up to the old inn door. Over the cobbles he clatters and clangs in the dark inn yard. He taps with his whip on the shutters, but all is locked and barred. He whistles a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair.